Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
U.S. trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding.
That is
It's over.
Coming up, so Katie, don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
I get the side of it that says the Knicks finally showed that grit that they were missing this year, right? They finally showed kind of their identity from last season, and they completely changed their perspective on this game, from what would have been a completely different tone to, okay, you can live with it. I get that perspective. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm over the moral victory side. I've been over the moral victory side for a couple of years now. I'm done with that game. This is starting to take a toll on my confidence. It's really starting to test me as a fan. Because again, I've sat here all year long. Okay, and I've said I'm going to give this Knicks team time, but this losing is taking a major hit to my confidence. Where I'm at a point right now where obviously the season's not over, but I can see, I don't know if this works. I know I said I want to give it a month. I want to give it 20-something games. But this Knick defense has not shown one single indicator that they're going to make improvements. They have not shown a single sign of improvement. They haven't been able to string together wins at all. They have a gigantic dilemma with their best player this season in Karl Anthony Towns. A gigantic dilemma in terms of the defense, the position he should play, what he brings offensively, because you just don't know if you can find the right equation for it to all work with him. And part of that's on him, part of that's on coaching, part of that's on personnel. So we're going to get into that for the majority of this episode, just so you know. But I don't know if I can hang on and really have high hopes for this team for much longer, because the amount of losses that we're taking, and it's not even like the Knicks lost this one by a close game. I'm not even talking like my heart's broken. Like that's not where I'm coming from. I'm just coming from the simple standpoint of that, like this Knicks defense is not, like they gave up 120-something more points last night. It can't keep happening. And I say that and it keeps happening. And this is like, I'm recording this the morning after. It's Thursday morning, okay? This is like, if I were to come on and record last night, if you think this is me being irrational, you have no clue. And I was worried about this game a little bit because the Knicks were coming off a back-to-back. Not that that's an excuse, but they play a very slow pace. And Chicago is the opposite. They were well-rested, and they play a very high-tempo game. The Knicks play a lot of drop. The Bulls, they shoot a lot of threes. They space out the floor. And so what happened was everything you expected to happen with that. The Knicks were stuck in mud, as Breen put it, for about 2.5 quarters. They were just playing careless, effortless, undisciplined basketball. Between the amount of turnovers, between the fouls, the stupid turnovers, the stupid fouls, which we'll get into, the defensive breakdowns, the missed free throws, lazy transition play. It was ugly. And the Knicks just in that, in the first 2.5 quarters, just not responding with any type of urgency after allowing, 3-4 consecutive baskets. Play harder. You'd think they play harder at that point. Chicago was just making them look silly. They were moving the ball very well side to side in the pockets. The Knicks were forced to put into rotation. But then something changed. Then something clicked, and they gave the Garden a reason to roar. And ironically, because this has been the theme of the season, and it's going to be the theme of this episode, ironically, it's Karl Anthony Towns who makes a number of significant defensive plays that gets this team going. And then he gets into his offense, where he just gives you effortless offense. It was an unbelievable offensive performance from Towns. And then Campaign, not long after, knocks down a big three-pointer. He had a big night. And the Knicks go on this 17-0 run at the end of the third quarter. The fourth quarter comes, and they continue to look very good. They're making big-time shots. They're getting big-time stops. Towns, Payne, Hart, McBride. Big shots. Brunson with a clutch couple of baskets at the end there before the miss. But the Bulls kept responding. Dosunmu knocking down big shots for Chicago. Phillips with the big three-pointer. And then eventually, you get the Josh Hart play on Kobe White. Fouls him on a three-point shot. Kobe White goes to the line, knocks down 3-3. The Knicks get a chance to respond with a few seconds. It goes to Brunson out of the ATO, and he gets a good look. The ball's halfway in the cylinder, and it rolls out. So the captain misses another game winner. And so the Knicks lose this game 124-123 to the Chicago Bulls at Madison Square Garden last night. Before I even get into what I want to get into, the simple fundamentals of the game were disgusting. They need to clean it up. They were way too sloppy. They've been way too sloppy the last couple of games, to be honest. Between the turnovers, fouls, missed foul shooting, the defensive lapses. They've just been playing unfocused basketball, and that's going to lose you games. The Knicks shot 12 for 18 at the free throw line in this game. That's 67%. That's disgusting. It was Towns and Brunson. Towns went 4 for 8. He missed a couple in the fourth quarter. Brunson went 3 for 5. They committed 15 more turnovers. And again, it's the quality of some of these passes they're making. Cat had a couple of bad turnovers. He had 4 overall. Brunson on the baseline early in the game. Josh Hart in the backcourt there. The fouls. The dumb, undisciplined fouling. Towns has 5 fouls at the end of the game. Campaign with 4 fouls in 17 minutes. Josh Hart with the foul at the end. Which part of the defensive breakdowns that this team's committing nightly. And that's what I want to get into in this episode. And I think it's time for head coach Tom Thibodeau to start tinkering just a little bit. Can you do that, Tom? 2 things that really bother me about this defense. That's what we're going to get into in this show. 2 things that really, really, really bother me about Tom Thibodeau's defense. And 1, off-ball coverages, helping middle as opposed to staying home, consistently leading to open threes. And 2, pick-and-roll coverages, going with the drop as opposed to a switch everything, consistently leading to open baskets. So we're going to touch on that in this episode the minute we return from our break. Stay with us here on episode 744 of the podcast. The Knicks might be in some trouble. Be right back.
Hey there, thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much. You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4.
All right, welcome back to the show, episode 744. It's a defense that's going to need adjusting. And I sit here, and again, before I even get into this, I want to preface by saying I'm not an X's and O's expert. I've never coached basketball at a high level. I understand all that. So if you're somebody who knows your X's and O's a lot more than I do, and shit, I barely know what I'm talking about, please correct me, because I'm sure there are things that I'm missing. Not to say I'd agree. But I feel, this is just me, some idiot couch potato who watches sports but no longer plays because he's fat, old, and out of shape. I feel like I'm sitting here after last night and I'm just thinking, how are we still in game 11 not switching everything? Because you've got the personnel. So at least if you're not going to switch everything, switch all actions that are excluding Brunson and Towns. Or just Brunson. Like, even Cat on certain matchups, you could try switching it. But you've got the personnel to where you should be switching everything. OG Anunoby, switchable wing with length. Mikal Bridges, switchable wing with length. Josh Hart, switchable wing with size. Cam Payne, switchable guard with length. Jericho Sims, switchable big with length and decent lateral quickness. There have been too many instances this season where the Knicks had an easy switch and they just simply chose not to, or they miscommunicate. Early in the third quarter, caught my eye, Anunoby and Bridges. They don't switch a White Vucevic empty side pick and roll. That leads to a wide open lane for Vucevic to make the back cut and finish. He did. Got an easy layup. Drop coverage has been killing them. And just to name a few examples, early in the first quarter last night, Vucevic gets a baseline jumper off a pick and pop with LaVine on the ball. Hart's at the point of attack. He fights over, but Towns drops back, and now Vucevic has the wide open baseline J. Cash. Late in the second quarter, LaVine gets a pull-up three off of another pick and roll with Vucevic. Anunoby's at the point of attack. He runs straight into the screen, and with Cat dropping back, LaVine uses the open space to pull from 31 feet. Cash. Late in the fourth quarter, again, the Colby White dagger three-point foul. Hart struggles to fight over. Towns is in a drop to protect the roll. Hart gets too aggressive on his closeout. Fouls Colby White's hair strand. Okay, let's be honest. Colby White knocks down all three. And in that situation, on that final possession for Chicago there, in my humble opinion, again, I'm not an X's and O's expert, but in my opinion, I think Tibbs had two options there. One, you sub out Towns or Brunson for Jericho or Deuce, so you can switch that ball screen. Or two, you keep it as it is, but you switch it anyway because it's much easier in that scenario to stay in front. He chose neither, and the rest is history. Now, you could probably make an argument and say that, well, if they switch, you're staying in front. And I think the idea there is to chase them off the line. You want to stay behind them, but you switch and you stay tight. I really don't think that was a smart decision. I think that's a situation where you have to switch it. I just don't like drop coverage. And that's the story of the season right there. That's been the story of your 2024-25 Knicks. Sticking with the same drop coverage. Against spacing offenses like Boston, Indiana, Chicago. Sticking with the same drop. With a big that's not great on his feet defensively in Towns. And with the point of attack defender in Mikal Bridges that isn't getting over the top of screens well enough. And we're still running this drop out there. We've reached a point where I think we need to start making some adjustments. You've got a 5-6 record. The two top teams in the East are on fire right now. And you've got one of the worst defenses in the NBA. Every single game counts. I don't want to hear that it's early, because these 6 losses in your first 11 games here could very well haunt you, and if you're trying to get the right matchup by the end of the year. This could turn bad very soon, because there's been no signs of improvement from the defense, but there's also been no signs of an adjustment. I think it's time to start switching everything, or switch a whole lot fucking more. Make an adjustment. Hide Towns on a 4, on a big wing. Put Anunoby at the 5 on those pick and rolls. Just spit. This way you can switch it with Anunoby much more comfortably. You could switch it with OG and whoever's at the point of attack. That's an easy switch. Why was OG Anunoby on Patrick Williams last night? I think the thought process was you want to continue to use OG Anunoby in help on the back line, right? That's something we've talked about all year. But at some point, you got to make that adjustment, because Zach LaVine was killing Mikal Bridges last night. 31 points for LaVine last night. 12 for 17. That's 71%. I thought at some point you had to make that adjustment, especially in the fourth quarter. Go to OG. But I get these coverages have worked for Tibbs the last 4 years with this Knicks team. I understand that. But you have to look at your personnel right now. He doesn't have Mitch. He doesn't have Hartenstein. He doesn't have Achua playing drop. He has Karl Anthony Towns, who's infamously a poor defender at the 5. And he's not going to put him at the 4, because that defeats the purpose of what this trade was. And if it's the trade was all about what Towns can do for you offensively at the 5. You put him at the 4, you're killing a little bit of spacing, you're taking the big off of him. It just doesn't make much sense. So I think the adjustment you make is with your coverages. And to be fair, it wouldn't be as bad if Bridges wasn't so slow getting over the top. But he's been the opposite of aggressive at the point of attack. Nobody's feeling him. LaVine's way too comfortable out there. Everybody he guards is just way too comfortable. His screen navigation has been lackluster, to say the very least. As soon as the ball handler gets by Mikal at the point of attack, it's all up to Towns to defend the ball. And now the Knicks have to over-rotate, and they can get beat on the pass. It's been ugly for Bridges. LaVine was scoring on the post, yes. He's a big guy. But it was the off-the-dribble scoring, just countlessly. It was brutal. We'll be right back.
If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. It's not just on the ball. I think the Knicks are sending way too much help off the ball. And there were so many sequences last night that just pissed you off because it was just so annoying. It's like, why? In this era, against this team who can space and shoot, are we helping so much middle? Early in the first quarter, Patrick Williams gets a wide open three-pointer because OG Anunoby is helping on the Vucevic roll. Why? Concede the 2. 3 is greater than 2. Middle of the first quarter, LaVine knocks down a 3 with Josh Hart in low man help with no Chicago Bull down there. Giddey makes the pass to the weak side corner for the wide open LaVine 3. He knocks it down. Late in the first quarter, Dosunmu, three-pointer. OG Anunoby's helping middle on a Zach LaVine drive. LaVine kicks out to Dosunmu, knocks down the corner 3. Middle of the third quarter, Kobe White knocks down a 3 with Mikal Bridges helping on a Jalen Smith drive. Swing. It leads to a wide open corner 3 for Kobe White. Early in the fourth quarter, that guy Terry, I never heard of the guy, knocks down a big catch and shoot 3 on the weak side elbow with Campaign helping middle. A few minutes later, Dosunmu knocks down a catch and shoot 3 on the weak side elbow with Josh Hart bringing unnecessary nail help in the back. A few minutes after that, you get that Phillips three-pointer. Hart's beat on a closeout because he's standing there complaining to officials while the defense has to be played. So now Campaign has to help on Hart's guy. He helps on the drive, so he leaves Phillips wide open for a corner 3. So many times, the Knicks are just over-helping, and they're getting beat on the perimeter. I don't like these coverages, and I think we just need to shake it up a little bit. What's the worst that can happen? It's a shame that we're sitting here talking about this because this offense has been so dynamic. It's been so great. It's the best Knick offense I've ever seen. But the defense has been the opposite of that. And I'm not, Towns has been amazing for them. Towns has been great. Last night, Karl Anthony Towns. Let's get to the numbers here.
Bing bang.
46 points. 46 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Shoots 18 for 30 from the floor, 6 for 12 from 3. He was a +4 across 39 minutes. He's been on a run, an otherworldly run. This season, he's been your best weapon. He's averaging 27 and 12. And look at the shooting splits, 50-50-80. 54% from the floor, 51% from 3, 84 at the line. It's now 4 balls that Cat has racked up this year. 4 game balls. He's been great. It's just, you got to figure out how we're going to maneuver this defense, and I don't see that happening. I'm losing confidence by the day. While we're doing this, shout out to Campaign, because I thought he was the best among the second unit. He scored 11 points, had 2 assists, 3 steals, a block, went 4 for 4, 3 for 3 from 3. Picked up his first game ball. I love the quick trigger. He doesn't hesitate. Interesting left-handed shot. I like his length. Makes him very switchable. I don't mind him as a bench piece because contrary to popular belief, I don't think Tyler Kolek is ready defensively. But campaign with his, first big performance in a Knicks uniform. Good for him. But we've got to figure this shit out. Another game tomorrow. You have the day off today, but you're staying home. You got 3 more games at home. You got the Nets tomorrow, the Nets again on Sunday, and then Washington to wrap up the homestand on Monday in a back-to-back. Tomorrow's another cup game, I believe. So there's that. But yeah, the Nets, the Wizards to wrap up your homestand. You got to go 3-1. You got to go 3-0. You got to go 3-0 on these next 3 games. There's no debate. So that's all I have. Goodbye. Let's get to our, we haven't gotten to our trivia, so let's head to break. Then we'll get to our trivia from there.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
Okay. Our trivia question for this episode here. When was the last time the Bulls won the season series against the Knicks? When was the last time the Bulls won the season series against the Knicks? Okay. That is all. Yeah, that one just hurts, man. I don't know. Gonna try my best to stay positive, but I just don't know anymore. I am losing confidence by the fucking day. So, 124 to 123, your final score last night. I don't know what else to say, man. I don't think this is going to be a good year. Kind of losing hope here. We'll see. That's it. Knicks might be in some trouble. Episode 744 in the books. I'll see you in 745, I guess. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks.